All right. So if again, if you haven't done one of these, if you haven't done one of these webinars before, it will be recorded. Okay. So just know that it will be recorded for you guys, and it is going to get distributed out to everybody once we do a little bit of editing and they take out this banter part in the very beginning. So it will be recorded for you guys to check out, and this is going to be a little bit of a sneak peek at what the new production report or the revamped production report is going to look like. So I'm going to flip off my video here and share my screen. So let's take a look. Here's my Zoom screen. That's great. All right. So what I want to talk about today is going to be the sneak peek at our new production report. Now, if you guys are familiar with the production report currently, it's obviously where you're managing all of your purchase orders, and you know this screen very, very well. We wanted to make this look a little bit more modern with some additional pieces of functionality and give you guys a little bit more control over your purchase orders, what you're seeing, what you're not having to look at. Because in all honesty, every distributor kind of manages their POs slightly differently, and different people have different weights on what's important on this screen. So we wanted to really give you guys the power to be able to control that and hopefully allow you to navigate through this a little bit faster, manage more POs at once, and not have to do so much digging. I mean, also, in all honesty, you guys are looking at my screen, which is at 100% zoom, which is probably really hard for you guys to reach those or read those POs. Even if I zoom in, it's still kind of hard for you guys to see that, right? So we thought, well, probably time for a little bit of an update. I'm sure there's somebody on this call that mentioned this to me a little while back, probably a couple weeks ago, but they had said the production area kind of looks like it belongs to a completely different system than the order management side and processing an order. And I guess you're not really wrong when we were talking about that, because the production report hasn't been revamped in quite a long time. And since we did reskew, we kind of left this in the old styling. So we wanted to update that. And while we were looking at that, we wanted to throw in some additional functionality. So right now, obviously, you can have one PO that when you click on all of the different options of things to do, it is pretty large and a little bit scattered. So we want to kind of organize that a little bit better. So what the production report is going to flip into is something that is going to look like this. Now, if you have questions along the way, there is a Q&A box that you can write your questions in. If you write them into the Q&A, we will get them and you will get responses after the webinar. So just as a side note, if you have questions about it along the way, just throw them in there and you'll get an email from somebody on the support team. So what we're looking at is what the new production report is going to be looking like. This is what you'll see when you first click into the production. Those of you that want to participate in the beta, we'll talk about it at the end. You'll have a production beta tab over on the left-hand side. Now, with the new production report, we wanted, again, to make information get to you quicker. So there's really 3 or 4 sections I want to talk about on this report, so you guys have a bit of an idea how it works. The first thing is altering your view. So in the previous production report, if you needed to pull a report of all of your POs that are problems, or everything that is a follow-up, or everything that's firm, you would have to fill out the filters every time and hit get report. In the new production report, you no longer need to do that. You can actually come into it and select your filters under the search. So for example, I can come in and say my name, and let's say I'm looking for all POs under my name that are created, maybe. Let's do that. I can hit get report. It's going to pull that report for me, and it's going to show me all the information down below. And what it's also going to do is give me the ability to save this report as a preset report, which save across the top here. You can see I've done a whole bunch of them. So when I click on this first tab, this is Aaron Open POs, it's going to show you the filters. So production rep is Aaron, stage is in production. I can hit get report, and it will just pull all of my in production POs where I'm the rep. I don't need to go back and fill out new filters or anything like that. I want to see everything that has an enhanced date for this week. Set that up as a separate report. I can click into it, hit get report, it's going to pull that for me. I can create one for firm POs. I did Mo POs, Mo problems, right? If you have a bunch of problem POs that you need to follow up on instead of having to filter that out, this new style is going to allow you to save these. And these are saved at an individual level. So if you have 3, 4, 5 people working in production, each person can save reports for themselves that they'll see every time that they click into the new production area. So just allowing you to kind of filter this out a little bit faster. The other thing you're going to notice is that down here where the actual PO information is, it's obviously a lot easier to read, but there's going to be some new things here with your view. So talking about altering your view of your production report, being able to filter and save certain reports, you're also going to be able to look at all the different filters down here, and you'll be able to actually scroll to the side to see more information. So you can scroll and scroll and scroll, see all of the information that you want, and it has the supplier and the PO number both pinned. Those are pinned for everybody. You can't change that. But it has that information pinned so you can kind of just carry that across. So you're looking at more information on each PO line. Now, I'm sure I can see the chat popping up already. There's going to be some questions around, well, what if I want to see this or not that type of stuff. Well, the good news is you guys control what you see now on this report. There will be a default that you'll see when you check this out on beta, but you can click on this little column icon on the left-hand side. It will show you all of the columns that are available to show on the production report. If you want to add a column, no problem. Maybe I want to see who the production rep is on every one of my POs. I can select that. It will add the production rep in here. Now, maybe I don't like where the promo standards icon is, or maybe I want the production rep at the very end. You can actually take these columns and you'll be able to drag and drop them to reorder them any way you want. The system will then also remember what you set up for this report, how you left it last. So it's not something you have to continuously drag and drop. You can really start to organize this report however you guys want in whatever columns that you want, and you can hide the other ones. Right, so allowing you to customize this a little bit, customizing it per report, it's going to be a super, super cool way for you guys to be able to manage this in a completely different view. Now, kind of moving away from altering your view, being able to create those different reports, doing the drag and drop, choosing what columns you want to see, let's talk about the information that's showing here. So on the information, you can see that there's some things here that are maybe a little bit new, maybe a little bit scary, but that's okay. So the first thing you're going to notice is that there's a new column called status. What we've done is we've taken the former statuses of follow-up and problem, and we've added them to their own status column. So what you're able to do now is create or set a status for each individual PO, and then also have the regular PO stage. So your stages are going to be created, submitted, confirmed, shipped, ready for billing, billed, that type of stuff. Your usual production report stages are still in that stage column. What we've done is we've added in statuses as well. So now you can flag a PO if it's okay, a problem, or follow-up. We really did this because, to be honest, if you set a PO right now on the current production report as a problem, there is no way to tell where that problem is happening. If it's happening with shipping, if it's happening with getting confirmation, is it with the proof, any of those things. So what this allows you to do now is get more depth by looking at the top level of the information and seeing that, okay, there's a problem with PO because it's confirmed, and I can actually tell it is a problem with the proof. Or I can tell that this one's submitted, but I need to follow up. Instead of just having this PO marked follow up, now I get a little bit more depth by being able to combine those two things. So that's going to be something that's going to be definitely new. With the switchover that will eventually happen, I'm going to talk about that at the very end of the webinar as well. With the switchover that's going to happen, you will still have the stages of problem and follow-up, but starting in January, when we switch everybody over to this new view, you will not be able to move POs back into follow-up or problem. Once they move out of there, they will stay in that status, and you will have, or stay in that stage, and then you will have to use the corresponding status. Okay, and don't worry, there will be training webinars on how to manage this production report a little bit closer to the January launch date as well. So the first thing that's new here is going to be that status stuff. The next thing that's a little bit different is the proofing icons. You can see that we've actually put in icons for the different stages rather than just writing the word. Gives us a little bit more space to be able to manage the rest of the information that you're showing. And you can, again, hover over top of the different symbols to see what stage that means. With the proofing icons, you also have the ability here to click into it, which we're going to talk about in a second and show you what happens now when you click on something to log a note or something similar on a PO. In terms of other things that are going to be new that we can see on this screen, outside of the status, the proofing icons, is really this next action piece. Now, this next action piece is super cool. If you have done training with me or with anybody on the customer success team, one thing that we always try and hammer home is using your next actions to set when you need to do something next on a PO. The problem with that was you had to type in what your next actions can be, or you had to set a date, and then you'd have to write a note on the PO, and it wasn't really correlated together very well. Well, we've kind of solved that here by adding a next action column. Now, the really cool part about this is you guys are able to set a predefined set of next actions, maybe the stages that you guys work through on a PO. Every time a PO is generated, you call and follow up with the supplier, you check for the proof, all those things, whatever the different steps that you take to processing a PO, you can set those up as predefined next actions now inside of your admin area. And inside of your admin area, there will be something called next action types, where you'll be able to add in as many as you want, checking stock, calling supplier, calling the client, obtaining a proof. Even if part of your job is just going to the park and getting some food, okay? You can set all of those as next actions. So how that translates through to the new report is basically on the next action date. If you have something that you need to do with this PO, you're looking at the data, the proof here is received. I need to call the client to make sure they got it. I can click on that next action and say, call client. And then it's going to set that next action and I can put in a corresponding date. So again, commonsku is all about being able to grow your business, do things quickly, but also having your process on rails. And the next action date and being able to predefine those is another way to be able to do that. So if you do have something like a new hire, you're training somebody inside of the production report, they are able to get up to speed quickly by seeing all the things that they need to do on a PO. Now, the next thing I want to kind of dive into is, well, how do you edit any of the information here other than just the click in menus that you guys are all used to? Well, we talked about proofing here, but in the old production report, you're really used to having all those icons on the very end, right? Something that looked like this, where you had to click through all these different icons to do things, and you get these, you drop down more and more and more and more information. Well, like a great infomercial, there must be a better way. And the better way is slide outs. So what we've done is we've taken the buttons from the very end and we've added a little addition button on the left, which basically says, I want more information. You can click on that and it will pull a slide out menu for you, which has all of the information that you need about the PO that you can't currently see at this view. So when you click into it, you have an overview. In the overview, you're able to add notes and add tasks. One of the things I think that we did that's super cool about this is if I add a note in here and I'm like, looks good to me, I create that note, but then I'm like, then I add a task and I'm like, make sure it looks good. I can set that task for today. And what happens is now when you click into the individual POs, it splits out your notes and your tasks. So your tasks are on top, your notes are on the bottom. So it helps kind of break that stuff up. You're not having to scroll through a ton of notes on a purchase order to see what exactly is going on with it. The next part is over inside of the proofing. So I showed you guys kind of the proofing at this level and being able to see the different icons here. So you can actually come in and you can click on the proofing icon. If you click on it here, it'll bring the slide out and pull the proofing menu open for you. Okay, it's going to skip straight to that. The proofing has been updated to function in the exact same way that uploading files inside of a project works. So yes, now you can do drag and drop for proofs. You can select multiple files for a proof. All of those things will now work the same way that uploading a file into a project will work. As always, the shipping details are here. Nothing new with this currently, but just you guys will be able to see how it's displayed here. With the shipping information, you actually, when you fill that out, if you do need to pass that along to the client, you can click actions. You have the ability to email the client from here. Another nice little piece of functionality we snuck in was emailing the supplier. Something you previously couldn't do on this report was being able to email the supplier directly from the screen. And now you will be able to do that. You click on email supplier, it will open up an email window referencing that PO if you need to reach out to them. And then finally, there's a details tab, which just kind of has the rest of the information in there, supplier information, that type of stuff, if you need to reach out to them. So some pretty cool stuff here, obviously giving you more depth with the statuses, putting in the proofing icons, having that slide out menu. So you're not having to have something that's really all over the place and boxes everywhere and you're collapsing and expanding different parts. It's much, much cleaner this way. And we're hoping that that's going to translate into making this a lot easier for you guys to navigate through. So with kind of looking at all these changes on the production report, I want to give you guys a little bit of an idea of kind of how this is going to work going forward. Um, so in terms of a rollout plan on the commonsku side, after this webinar, you guys are going to get an email from our marketing team that is going to have a link in it if you want to be on the beta to test this production report out. The beta, anybody can sign up for it. It is something on a company level. So please, if you are one of 30 people on the production report every day, make sure you check with whoever is in charge of this, whether it's a production manager, owner, or whatever, before you drop us a line say you want to be on the beta and we switch it for everybody. But you will get an email with a link to sign up for the beta. The beta will go into effect on Monday for everybody. And the beta will then run as an open beta for 1 week. Towards the end of that week, you'll receive another email from us, which is basically a feedback form that we want to hear your feedback about navigating through the new production report. If you found any issues with it, if you have any slight suggestions on little tweaks that we can make, we're going to try and incorporate as much as we can and look at that before we go launch. Once that beta period's over, if you're on the beta team, that's cool. You'll still have access. However, starting the beginning of December, this will then be released for everybody, and you will have the month of December to flip between the new version and the old version. If you're on the beta team, you will also, by the way, next week be able to flip through the new version and the old version. Okay. For the month of December, you will also be able to flip back and forth. At commonsku, we are going to host a few webinars that are going to be training webinars on how to use this new production report and how to set it up, best practices, that type of stuff. So I highly recommend that whoever at your company is managing POs, that you have them attend one of those webinars, which will also be recorded and also sent out. So don't worry if somebody misses one, you will have a copy of that. But the month of December is really kind of like dipping your toe in the water to get you guys used to this before starting January 4, which is the first Monday of the new year. That week, it will be a switch over to this report only. The last couple of things about this, just for people who are interested in doing the beta and you do sign up for it, I just want to make a couple of really, really quick notes for you guys. The first thing is, as I mentioned, you will be able to flip through both versions if you're in the beta or in the month of December. Okay. What that means is if you change the status to a problem on one of these POs, obviously on the old production report, there is no status column. So moving this to a problem on here will not translate backwards onto your old production report because we have no way of doing that. So just know if you are planning on switching back and forth that you might want to avoid using that until you have committed to the switch. The other kind of two things that I have noted for everybody is on the search field, if you are doing a search inside of here and you need to pull a report for everybody, for example, just tap the reset button. That will give you the all option on all of the different dropdowns. And the very last thing is something I mentioned at the very beginning, which is, again, once we switch you over to the new version of the production report, when you are working on these purchase orders, again, to try and help with the transition, the status of problem and follow-up will continue into the stage when we switch everybody over. So if it's December 31st and this PO is marked as a problem, then I log into commonsku on January 4th and my production report looks completely different, this will still say problem. However, as soon as I change that to anything else, it will no longer let me move that PO back to the problem stage because you should be using the status for that. So there's a couple of final notes. I mean, the commonsku team is super excited to launch this for everybody. We've been putting in a ton of time to get this ready and get it ready for launch for the new year. So hopefully you guys are enjoying what you are seeing. And again, you guys are going to get that email from the marketing department in a little bit. So, jump on the beta, test it out, give us some feedback. We love to hear what you guys think about stuff. If you have any suggestions, those are all good things that we want to get from you guys. So don't hesitate to jump on that beta. You'll still be able to jump back and forth from the old production report to the new one, and get a little bit of a head start on this. So that's everything I've got for you guys today. So you should see that email coming soon. If you have any additional questions, stuff like that, again, a copy of this webinar is going to be emailed out to everybody. So if you have somebody who missed it, no problem. They're going to get a copy of it. But again, if you have any questions or anything like that, you can email support@commonsku.com, obviously, and we will talk to all of you guys soon.